I, 27, have two younger sisters who are 8 and 10. I love them dearly, they're amazing little girls and I'd do anything for them. Recently a friend of my mum's died and it caused a whole issue because she was a single mother and there was a huge fight about custody of her daughter. It ended up with her moving away from where she lives now and she's having a really hard time adjusting. It kind of kicked my mum and stepdad into gear about making arrangements if something were to happen to them. My grandparents can't take them, they're too old now and they'd never be able to manage. They don't speak to my stepdad's family or my mum's sister. So my mum asked me. I told her that I would, but she and her husband both need to get life insurance. I don't make that much, I can't support 2 kids. And I work full-time. My mum was furious, she just wants to make sure that they're looked after if something awful were to happen. And I get that. But I make under £19,000 a year working full-time. I'd have to go down to part-time, which means I'd be on even less. My grandparents would obviously help, but they're both flirting with their 90s and won't be around forever. I don't have a partner. It would just be me. The last thing I want is for my baby sisters to go into care. But I can't look after them with no money. Life insurance is an expense that they could probably do without paying, but if they want me to raise my sisters I'm going to need financial help. Obviously there's very little chance of something happening to them, but there was very little chance of something happening to her friend, it was a total freak accident. They're both not happy with me, and my grandparents are staying out of it. Not the a-hole. If they're concerned about making arrangements then they need to make all the arrangements. I've recently learned firsthand how much of a game changer life insurance is, even if they don't die for 40 more years it will still be necessary for things like paying debts and funeral arrangements. Not having it is a huge disservice to anyone they leave behind. I mean, I have life insurance. Admittedly it's through my work so, if I left I'd be screwed, but it's nice to know it's there. Honestly, I was kind of surprised that they didn't. Life insurance is the first arrangement they need to make. I mean, what? I want to make sure the children are cared for if something bad happens to me, but I'm not willing to buy life insurance. If she isn't willing to buy life insurance she really isn't trying to make sure the kids are cared for, is she? I bought a policy when my grandson was a baby, when I was relatively young and healthy, so that if anything happened to me, he and my daughter would be okay. Surprise. My daughter died instead. But even as poor and broken as she was she had a small policy that paid for her funeral and the lawyer I needed to make sure I got custody, as were her wishes. My policy is still in effect so, when I do pass my grandson, 18 now, will be okay. Not the a-hole, my husband and I have kids that age. Without being old enough that we have a 27-year-old. We have life insurance. To be sure that if something unexpected happens the remaining one will still be able to keep the house. Send the kids on school trips and the other things we agree kids should have. Why are they upset? You're being realistic, you can't afford to raise 2 children on your income. Plus with 2 kids, life insurance is really an excellent idea should something happen to either of them. Do they own their home and think that the sale of their home would be adequate? It's hard to understand their thinking. So, me and my fiancé dated for 5 years. Last December, on our 5th-year anniversary, he proposed to me and I accepted. In my country, engagement rings are not a major thing. Couples show that they are engaged by wearing their future wedding rings on their right hand. Once they're married, they start wearing it on their left hand. Because I always watched men proposing to women with wedding rings on American movies, internet videos, TV shows, and other media, I always had that same ideal in my head. Knowing this dream of mine, and since his family doesn't have any heirlooms or family jewels, he had a goldsmith craft a wedding ring specially for me. He knew I don't like fancy and flashy jewels, I'm a very discreet person, so he had a ring made for me that was exactly what I'd like. And I did. I absolutely adore it. Sadly, a couple months ago, my fiancé fell ill and passed away. I'm not going to go into details about it because just writing this out makes me sob. I'm still very much not over it. Skip a few weeks, and his sister and his mom, I never really got along with neither the sister nor the mom, but we were friendly towards each other, called me asking for my engagement ring. They said that, since we never got married, our wedding was scheduled for early 2022 and never will, I should give the ring to the real family since it represented a promise that will never be fulfilled. I told them no. Don't get me wrong, if it were a family jewel or family heirloom, I'd not hesitate to give it back. But it isn't. He had it made specifically for me, and I'll be keeping it because he gave it to me on our 5th-year anniversary together. Now they have gone to my parents, who they've talked to, like twice, in all the 5 years me and my fiancé were together, to all their community friends, some of which I share, telling I'm appropriating of property that doesn't really belong to me anymore. My parents are on my side. Community friends are divided. Some say the ring is rightfully mine, some say that it was a symbol of a contract that fell through due to sad circumstances and that I should give it back, that I'm keeping one of their son's property and that it should stay with his sister to pass along to her future children. I keep saying no, but they have been so insistent that I'm starting second guessing myself. So, am I the a-hole for not giving the ring to them? Not the a-hole. First of all, I'm so sorry for your loss. Second, the ring is yours. Your late fiancé's family doesn't have some kind of ownership over it. He made it for you, and the fact he sadly passed doesn't change that. You're the rightful owner. Thank you so much. It seems it was technically given as an anniversary gift. Try going that route with him. I don't know if the laws where you are cover that, but here in America, it doesn't have to be given back if it was on a specific occasion like a birthday or anniversary, I think. Edit. And I am so sorry for your loss. I can't imagine what you're going through. Laws over here don't cover the matter of engagement rings at all, because it's not our culture. Law does say that personal items that are freely given are considered donations and are the grantee's property when the donation happens. Not the a-hole. The promise was to spend the rest of his life with him. A promise you fulfilled, and the ring is a symbol of that. Not the a-hole, the ring was custom made, just for you. You received it as an anniversary gift. Keep the ring and try to lose his negative greedy family. Recently, I got back in contact with my adult daughter M after having had nothing to do with her since her birth. She's 25 now, but honestly I wasn't around from her birth all the way through to when her mother died a couple years ago. Now, I know I'm not a perfect person here, I've done some bad things, but in this case I don't think I was the bad guy. M's mother and I dated for about a year after I graduated high school in '95, while I was just in college. I'll be honest, her mother was a rebel girl. Never thought it would be a long-term relationship or anything. We became close and did couple things, but I always made certain to use protection. I didn't want kids at that stage in my life and thought I'd made it clear to M's mother. After coming back from family vacation one summer, I'm surprised to find that her girlfriend apartment is empty and she's dropped off the face of the earth. Poof. Gone. Over the past years, I often wondered what happened, but any attempts at searching for M's mother failed. A couple months ago I got a visitor out of the blue, and after some awkward moments, M introduced herself as my daughter. She wanted to know her dad, but at the same time I felt this hostility there. She was angry, rightly so, at me for not being in her life, and I got the impression this was a well I can say I met the bastard type of thing. She told me how her mother had died a couple years prior, only after finally telling her my full name and to go looking for me. It had taken her that long to finally track me down. She wanted to know everything I'd been doing to that point, while I still found it hard to believe. Eventually she asked why I had never been in her life, and I told her 2 reasons. 1, I didn't know you existed, and 2, your mom completely vanished on me. She didn't believe this and scoffed, but telling her my own story about what happened seemed to mesh up with some things her own mom had told her. This has created a problem. M practically hates her mother for what she did. She accepts that I didn't even know she existed and couldn't find her, so she can't fault me for that. However, she worshipped her mom, and now she's finding out that not only did her mom lie to her about the reason I wasn't around, but now she even questions about her own birth. Was it some stunt by her mother to force me to stay around? We talk from time to time, but her mom has gone from being respected to that lying bitch among other things. I genuinely feel bad about this and wonder if I was the asshole for telling the truth and destroying whatever memories M had about her mother. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She deserved the truth. But I don't know why she thinks her mom got pregnant to keep you around if she ghosted you like that without ever telling you. It sounds a lot more like mom wanted a baby and didn't really want dad in the picture. Or else got pregnant by accident and later because she didn't want to deal with co-parenting. Or maybe she thought she was respecting the OP not wanting kids yet and thought she was doing him a favor taking off and not involving him in the baby's life. Yeah, he made his opinion clear and she reacted according to her understanding of that. Not a hole. Info, it doesn't make sense that this was a stunt to get you to stick around as she didn't tell you she was pregnant. Is there a reason that you both rejected the most obvious answer? Your ex took you at your word that you didn't want a kid, accidentally got pregnant, was unwilling to have an abortion or give the baby up and decided to move so you wouldn't have to be involved. I think this is still not great behavior, but it's hardly the act of a monster. More like a confused young woman who wants her baby without dragging you into fatherhood. To answer your question, I had made it clear when we started dating that I was hurting. I'd experienced a very bad breakup of my high school sweetheart, and though we'd talked about it, I specifically told her that I felt that I wasn't ready, being just 19, yes I failed 8th grade, to have kids. She would sometimes joke that well she wanted a child, but respected my feelings on the matter. We'd taken a break around the time my family and I went on vacation, and during that time I'd largely grown over the relationship. Sure, it was nice and all, but after some serious soul searching I'd realized that I didn't love her and just loved the things we did together. Both physical and otherwise. Today I suppose you'd call her a friend with benefits, but at the time I didn't know that term, being rather innocent about many things. Also, I don't know if this is worth noting, but she was 35. So, yeah. I was a young guy with an older woman and was loving most every minute of it. The fact that she was 35 to your 19 really should have been in your original post. Also, please do not take me wrong, but have you had a paternity test, just to make sure? I have, and it's been confirmed. Going to sound harsh here, but was she maybe just looking for a sperm donor? Especially with that age gap and the jokes about getting pregnant. This makes sense the most. She just wants a sperm donor. She didn't even try to get OP to pay CS.